Zach is back. It's the Zach Gelb Show on Fox Sports 920 The Jersey.
All right, welcome back in. 5:15 is the time from the Princeton Orthopedic Associates studios. A lot of Sixers and Flyers talk today, so no one better to do it with than someone I actually interned for back when I was in college not that long ago, and that's the great Al Morganti from Sports Radio 94 WIP and Comcast Sportsnet. Al, appreciate the time today. Thanks so much, and how are you, my friend?
I'm fine. I don't think you interned for me. I think you interned with me because I feel like an intern when I'm in.
Well, I'll tell you, I always enjoyed getting you your bagel with butter, and then also seeing the entertainment, especially this time of the year, because, you know, Wing Bowl season is approaching right the Friday before the Super Bowl. And this year I hear you have Pittsburgh Paulie. This guy's not going to survive, Al.
No, this lunatic wants to actually walk into the Wells Fargo Center wearing a Sidney Crosby jersey and putting his middle finger up to the crowd. So I don't quite know how we're going to protect him. But I do know it's going to be high entertainment. I think it's going to be a little bit like the walk of shame in Game of Thrones. So it should be dangerous.
I know you guys always joke every year that this could be the last Wing Bowl. I think after what happens with Pittsburgh Paulie, it may be actually the last Wing Bowl, Al.
I think it'll be the last one anyway. If I have my way about it, it will be. It's it's funny. We started this thing because it was the Eagles were just out of it all the time, and the other teams were sort of struggling a bit. And it was like, well, I was covering hockey for nationally, and I was always Buffalo was always in the Super Bowl at that point. That's how long ago this was. And they were losing, but they were always having a bit of a party with chicken wings. And I said, well, what the heck? Even if the Eagles aren't in the Super Bowl, let's throw a Super Bowl party. And it's worked out pretty well.
Hey, it's one of the best promotional events in radio, I think, in the history of the entire business. One more thing on Wing Bowl. You guys always have these crazy eating stunts, and a lot of my friends, because, we're 22, 23 years old, they go, oh, I'd love to do an eating stunt or something like that. You've seen a lot of crazy eating stunts. What have been some of the more memorable ones that you've seen in your career of doing this?
Well, they used to be a lot crazier before corporate got a hold of this thing, because the lawyers now have to approve all of this stuff.
Wow. But
before the lawyers got their hands on it, we had a guy named Slushy Shelley, and it was a snowstorm. And you know how underneath the wheel well there's all that slush?
Yes.
So he just came in and said he'd eat all the slush from the wheel well.
That's great.
We had that one, and then we had a guy come in and said he was going to eat a gallon of ice cream. And I didn't think much of it because I love ice cream, and I thought that's no big deal. I could probably do a gallon of ice cream. And he's eating the ice cream, and I noticed he's like changing color, and he asked for a blanket. Then we had to get the emergency room, the EMTs, to come in because his core body temperature dropped so much.
Oh my!
I'm like, and then the other one was some guy eating butter. Was it butter? I think straight butter out of a bucket, eh? And he was. I keep hearing this little ringer go off, and I go, "What's that?" And he goes, "Oh, I'm diabetic." That's that thing. Well, that's about where. That's the state of the humanities where we are right now.
Unbelievable. Al Morganti with us right now from Sports Radio 94 WIP and Comcast Sportsnet on the Zach Gelb Show, Fox Sports 920 The Jersey. I was at Wells Fargo last night, and the atmosphere, it was a euphoric atmosphere, just unbelievable. And everyone has been captivated by Joel Embiid. And it's been years and years of losing, and now they have something to smile about. Just how about what you've seen from Joel Embiid in this month of January, Al?
Well, Joel Embiid has a chance to be all that Iverson was, and more. He's that good. And look, I'm a hockey guy, so basketball to me, I haven't even had an eye on it for 3-4 years because of what the Sixers have gone through. But what's really remarkable to me is the crowd starts to chant, "Trust the process, trust the process, trust the process." And I'm like, this is so generic the way this happened. I'm sort of torn on the Sixers. I'm thrilled at what's happening, and when Simmons comes in, I mean, this team has a real chance. But it's a dangerous, dangerous blueprint for professional sports to basically tell your teams that it doesn't matter if anybody comes in the building. It doesn't matter if you win or lose. as long as you can tear everything down and build that way. Man, that's a real hard problem for me, because when I go to a game, I expect my team to want to win. I can understand one year if there's a Mario Lemieux out there, or if there's if there was a Jordan and you knew he was going to be the Jordan, maybe. But this was season after season, and they may reap the rewards of this, and it certainly looks that way with Embiid. But boy, I'll tell you, that's a perilous blueprint to draw up.
Yeah, I was always skeptical of the process, and I always thought they would have to move on from Sam Hinkie eventually for it to work. And I agree with you. Like 1 or 2 years of that I'm okay with. But when you get to year 3 and 4 and you're seeing 12 wins, it's tough to stomach as a fan. With that being said, did you think they had to move on from Hinkie for this thing to eventually work?
I think they had to move on for Hinkie for other reasons. I believe that his interpersonal skills were so bad, and it became when Okafor got in trouble and he wouldn't talk about it. No matter how heavy you're into analytics, and I'm not some old guy yelling at the clouds on my front lawn there. I believe in some of them, but I also know that you're dealing with people and fans and people that have an interest in your team and human beings in a locker room, and he just refused to do that. You just can't. You cannot be a general manager and lock yourself away like that. I looked at Hinkie, and I swear to God, I watch Westworld now. Anthony Hopkins reminds me of this Hinkie. These are humans we're dealing with at this point. And he just had no interpersonal skills like that. If he had any sort of handle on that, I think he would have been okay. But he didn't, and he kind of rode his way out of town because he just couldn't connect with anybody. And ultimately, players are people, believe it or not. Players aren't cartoons. They're not drones. He has to deal with that. I don't think he could. I don't think it was his process that got questioned. I think it was ability to relate to a fan base, to other owners, to agents, to players, to people right in the front of the office.
And not having like a very successful resume, when you don't communicate, that makes it a big problem. But then to be fair, and I know Colangelo's had a little bit more success obviously than Hinkie, Colangelo hasn't talked that much ever since taking over either.
No, he hasn't to the media out here in Philly, but I believe he does to the league, and I believe he does to agents, and I believe he probably is better with his own coach and his own people in his own organization. I never got the sense that even those people had any sort of connection with Hinkie. His ability to allow Brett Brown to just march out there and take the hit for everything. Colangelo, I think, is out. He's a lot better at that. He's a lot better at the politics that you have to play with a team and a league. He's far superior than Hinkie there.
And I love that you bring up Brett Brown, because this is someone that already has 200-plus losses in his career. It's finally nice to see him get some wins on his resume, Al.
Yeah, I was calling for him to be fired 2 years ago. To me, it was like, how do you lose this many games? At the end of games, things were breaking down, and the argument was always, well, it doesn't have the talent, and that's true. The intention was losing.
Al, you still there? Your phone's breaking up, Al. You still there?
Yeah, I got you. You got me? You all right?
Yeah, we're good now. Continue.
Okay. My contention was always that there was a losing atmosphere in the locker room. And I think what's happened is Embiid is such a big character. You cannot, that problem is gone. He doesn't accept we're going to go out there and lose. When he's on a court, he's out there to win. And he's talking about things that would terrify them, to talk about a playoff spot. Embiid comes out and doesn't just say it and then tweets it. So I think that's been solved there. But I guess we'll see what kind of coach. And the real irony is his job security is far less now that they've won some games than when they were expected to lose everything, because there was no way you couldn't reach your ceiling because you were supposed to lose every night.
Wrapping up with Al Morganti, who joins us right now. All right, let's talk some Flyers real quickly. They went through that big win streak, and ever since they've been ice cold. Still in it for a playoff chase, trying to get that 8th seed in the Eastern Conference. Where's your level of concern at with the Flyers right now, Al?
I think the Sixers may have a better chance to make the playoffs.
Wow.
The Flyers have, look at the division they're in. It's the best of the league that they're up against. They're in their week break now. They had played more games than anybody else. Their goaltending isn't up to what it should be. Mason's not having the year he had that streak during the 10-game streak. They need a forward desperately. They need a big forward they can count on desperately. And I'm not saying that to diminish. I mean, I actually think the Sixers I really think the Sixers are going to make a run. My problem with the Flyers is the teams around them. When you look at it, I mean, Tampa got their goaltender back. Tampa may get Stamkos back. Florida is a better team than they're showing. Toronto's coming on strong. That team is just going to be a cup contender within a year or two. Buffalo is playing better. I think the Flyers' problem isn't that their talent is that low anymore. It's that the rest of that division and the rest of that conference is going to catch up to them real quick. They're going to be in a real struggle to make the playoffs. And in the offseason, what they're going to have to figure out, or if after the playoffs, should they make it, they've got to get another winger, and they've got to get a sturdy defenseman to go with all their kids. Unless Morin, one of their kids, can come up and be their physical player, and they're going to have to figure out their goaltending. Both of their starters, or Neubert and Mason, are free agents at the end. Ron Hextall is going to have to figure out where he goes from there. And then if Giroux is still going to be a mainstay in this thing because he's 29 years old, is he going to be coming along with the kids?
There's about like 6 or 7 teams that are all fighting and have a realistic chance to get that 8th seed. One of those teams, and I know we mentioned a lot, but one we didn't mention was New Jersey. They play New Jersey coming up on Saturday. Is New Jersey a team that you look at that has a realistic chance, in your opinion, to get that 8th seed possibly?
I don't know. I've been disappointed in them. I know their goaltender, he's supposed to be among the best in the league and usually very good. I don't know that. I still don't know about the trade that they, when they bring in a forward and it's supposed to make a big difference there. But Larson, you trade a young defenseman. That's real risky business on what they did there. I'm a little disappointed in how they started this season or halfway through the season. Given my druthers between the Flyers' chances and the Devils, I think I like the Flyers' chances better.
Al, before we let you run, as we're talking to the great Al Morganti from Sports Radio 94 WIP and Comcast Sportsnet, I asked you to talk a little bit about Brett Brown. How about Dave Haxtell? Because I feel a minuscule amount of the fan base is starting to grow impatient with him, and I think that Haxtell's a pretty darn good coach. What's your take on Haxtell?
I think Haxtell's a very, very good coach. Look, I'm a product of college hockey, having grown up with it, covered it. I've seen those coaches come out of there. I think the coaching is better there than in some juniors and around the world, actually. The problem the fans have with Haxtell is he doesn't show. I mean, Phillies fans love you to throw things and, kick things and whatever when you lose, and he's not shown much of that. I'd say the one danger area, he benches players to get more out of them, to have them sit in the press box. And he's got some young players, Goss to spare, Konechny. But the problem is, whatever sport it is, when you sit one player out, maybe 2 players out, I don't know, then it becomes, when it's a revolving situation, you risk having a locker room of grumbling players, and that's dangerous. And benching a guy like Goss to spare more than once, couple of times now, I think you may erode his confidence a little bit. And I think that's the one danger area. I think Haxtell still has to get used to the NHL in terms of this isn't college. We can do that to a kid. But I think technically he's been fine. The team looks a little unstructured now because he's got so many defensemen that are offensive-type defensemen. And the general manager, Hextall, has kind of saddled him with a lot of the same kind of player. So he doesn't have many buttons to push. But other than that, I mean, I've been quite happy seeing the way Haxtell adjusted to the NHL.
Al, last one for you, because I heard your ringback tone when I called you in between the break, and it was shipping up to Boston, and I'm actually going to the Boston area this weekend, staying with a few friends, and then going to Foxborough for the Patriots game. Give me your playoff picks for this weekend. Who gets to Houston for the Super Bowl?
Well, I mean, everybody wants to see Rodgers and Brady. Look, I'm from Massachusetts, so Brady to me is the greatest of all time. I can't imagine him, not getting through this. But I like Matty Ice to get through that other game, so I don't think you're going to see that matchup. Brady is on a mission to get Goodell to hand him that trophy. So I mean, I'd never go against him. But I really think Matty Ice is going to get through this thing, and he's going to be the MVP of the league, I think. So I like Atlanta to get through, and I like Brady to get through.
You know what's amazing? The only way that Brady's going to see Goodell again is at the Super Bowl because he's in hiding. He's afraid to go to that New England area.
Yeah, the football isn't the only ball that's deflated, I think. I think.
Well, you know what, Al? Who would get more things thrown at them? A Pittsburgh Paulie at the Wing Bowl or Roger Goodell if he went to Foxborough?
Yeah, but I think Kraft would protect him well enough. But I mean, you know, it's not. It's just you got to go there, man. I mean, you know, you've done all this. The guy sat out. There's no excuse for not being there for this game. And maybe the Patriots lose, and maybe that's what I don't know. Maybe he doesn't want to see one way or the other. But boy, I'll tell you, he's by not going there, he's making himself look even smaller. And I know, you know, I'm on the Patriots wagon in that. You know, they hate us because they ain't us. But you've got to show up at this game. You got to just man up and show up at that. I'm disappointed in him for not doing that. There's got to be some way to. I mean, you have a fun with it, and Kraft could save him. I just don't. I don't understand it. If the Patriots lose, he kind of escapes that route, and forever will be remembered. They won't. The players up there. Here's the thing up there. You know, they'll get the Red Sox to come rolling around, so they'll quickly get over the Patriots. All they'll remember is this guy didn't have the nerve to come up and show his face here, and that's what's going to roll on.
You're right, Al. I appreciate the time. Thanks so much.
No worries, anytime.